Good afternoon, Michigan. I'm James Coney, candidate for Carmel Township Trustee in the 2024 general election. And this is my July Fireside chat. Mostly, this will just be an update on my thoughts on a couple of current events and the campaign, which there's not too many updates to give there. So we'll start with those first. Campaign is proceeding well, and I'd like to remind everybody that the August 6th general election, or primary election, has already begun early voting, and there's still time to cast your ballots before August 6th itself. Now, I understand the primary may not seem that important to a lot of people, but regardless, even if there's not too many candidates on the primary ballot, it's still important to get out there and show support for the candidates you're interested in or the party you are affiliated with, or even if you're not affiliated with the party. Michigan has open primaries. Go out and vote anyways. Polling places are open 9 to 5 weekdays, 8 to 4 weekends, and there's just no reason not to. And if you just cannot make it, unfortunately, we're too late to do absentee ballots for the primary election, but you can still get an absentee ballot. No excuse needed for the general election on November 5th. So get out there, rock the vote, people. That's pretty much it for the campaign-wise. We are going to see a change of venue maybe in the coming, next month, since I will be departing for Albion. But don't worry, campaign will not slow down. If anything, it'll just keep on going fast. It'll get bigger. I'll probably have a lot more resources available to me, and expect that come October, I'll double down on campaign efforts. We'll get a lot of people out there to, encourage the vote. So I'd just like to talk a bit about two big events that are important that have happened here in the political scene in the United States. Number one is the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. It's an unfortunate thing that people feel the need to escalate to such violence against politicians and candidates they disagree with. Do I like Donald Trump? No. Do I think he's the right choice for this country? No, I do not. But even if I dislike Trump, no matter how much I may dislike him, I would never wish for violence to come to our political scene. We delegitimize any kind of movement we see the minute we engage in political violence. I hope Republicans understand that. I hope Democrats understand that if we want to preserve our democracy, we must keep violence out of politics. I know hopefully not many of you needed to know that. I trust that most people are sensible and can see that we can do things peaceably, we can do things the right way. But on to the bigger issue. President Biden has dropped out of the running. He's no longer the prime candidate for Democrat. He's not even running for president in 2024. And I think this was the right move, not just for President Biden, but for the Democratic Party. The Democrats, we've all understood that President Biden is not fit to be president again. He's too old. He's out of touch. He can't govern effectively, and he can't be a leader. We need a leader now. We always do. And Joe Biden just can't do it. So I'm really glad to see he's out of the race. Now, Kamala Harris is picking up the slack. She is the candidate now. And I think she's definitely an improvement. She's young, energetic. She clearly knows what it takes to lead a country. She has a lot of experience. Do I think she necessarily has the ability to take on Trump? That remains to be seen. Donald Trump is a bit of a force of nature when it comes to these things. He has a lot of experience with public speaking, winning over audiences. That makes him hard to run against. But, at the end of the day, if people are wise enough to see through his feel-good messages and see the actual effects that his policy will cause, I think that people will make the right decision. Maybe the Democrats aren't your first choice. I know they aren't mine either. But at the end of the day, sometimes we have to be pragmatic about our decisions. And the real question now is who's going to be vice president. And I would weigh in on this, but I'll try and keep it brief since I admit I'm not perfectly well versed in this. What I will say is that a lot of options have been floated. The governor of Pennsylvania, governor of Kentucky, North Carolina, senator from Arizona. All these are good choices. There's strategic value to each of these picks. Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania is probably the safest choice. He's an easy Democrat in. He'll win over that swing state. He's got a lot of experience. He's popular. But I don't think that that's necessarily the best choice. Pennsylvania won't be a hard win. We could probably pull that off. The Democrats could. I'd say our biggest contenders are out west, Arizona and Nevada. Abortion is on the ballot, so it's probably a lot of Democrats will be turning out, a lot of Republicans too. But with Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, who's proposed as the vice president, while I do think he's an excellent man, a great legislator, that's the thing. He's far more useful in the Senate. And I think his environmental record stands for itself, that he is the man we need in the Senate to uphold our green history and protect our environment. So I think overall, it might be more advantageous to pick somebody from a more moderate swing state. Kentucky has historically been red, but now has a Democratic governor. That could be really useful in bridging the urban-rural divide, which is what really divides voters nowadays. It is red versus blue, of course, but red voters are in the rural areas, blue voters are in the cities, and that's what the parties have been trying to appeal to. So if we want to bridge that gap, it'd be helpful to have somebody from a red state who knows how to appeal to those kinds of voters. That's also the reason why North Carolina is an excellent option. North Carolina has historically at times voted blue. So even though it has not recently, it definitely could be swayed. And I think that would be very useful. And while we're on the topic of vice presidents, I would like to weigh in on Donald Trump's vice presidential pick, in that regardless of your opinions of J.D. Vance, which I view J.D. Vance just as I view Trump. I think he's a bad choice for America. But I also question exactly what the Republicans' idea was, since at the end of the day, Vance is another Trump. So I would critique their strategic decision in picking J.D. Vance, since at the end of the day, he doesn't win the Republicans any votes they weren't already getting. So I guess we'll just see what their strategy is for the future. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers campaign news and also presidential news. So again, I'd just like to reiterate, polls are open right now. Get out there, vote. I already have. You could today. So please remember to vote. Vote early, vote often, and vote for everything. Don't just show up, tick president at the ballot, and walk away. There's way more offices. Even if you're not voting you could be strategic about it. You might like the Republican in one office, you might like the Democrat in another. It doesn't matter if you cross party lines. If you're voting for people that you think are best suited for the job, who will do it well, go ahead and do it. But the important thing is to vote at all for those offices. So please get out there, rock the vote. It's important. Even if you don't feel like your vote matters, it's important to understand that by voting, we are nurturing and strengthening our democracy. And that's what really matters, is the preservation of our democracy. So please get out there and vote. And if you feel so inclined, remember to vote for me, James Coney, in the November general election. As always, subscribe, follow me on Facebook for frequent updates and the latest information on the campaign. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop it in a comment below, send me a message on Facebook, whatever. I'll try and get back to you, address it as fast as I can. I like to, address people's concerns whenever possible. So thank you very much, and remember to get out there and vote.